headline stories. We're now joined by a gentleman of the fourth estate of the REM and also public affairs analyst from the People's Reporter. We have Honorable Desmond Olariwaju Fowobi. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Bitos. Good morning, Shijioke. Good morning, Nigerians.
Well, let's quickly set the ball rolling. The former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Olusegun Obasanjo, has recently made some really strong claims and allegations towards the National Assembly. You know, saying that they are making self-determined salaries, and determining how much they are going to pay themselves. Now the Senate has also in return come out to refute these claims. It has debunked it and called it a total false claim. I want to get your reaction to this.
I saw the drama over the weekend by the former president Olusegun Obasanjo when he made the claim, the allegation that the National Assembly cannot be the judge in their own, case by accruing to say whatever they like as salaries. And then Adara Modu also came up, the spokesman to the National Assembly, the Senate precisely. He came out to refute that claim that no, it is the Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Allocation Mobilization Commission that usually does salary scaling and all that to every government organization. Why that is a fact? I think it is just misinformation. The former president wasn't wrong, because the National Assembly as an institution is saddled with the responsibility of looking at the allocations, looking at appropriations, looking at what goes to this organization, what goes to that, and the override. Now, this is, I think, the area or the aspect that the former president is talking about has to do with respect to the allocation that goes to their constituency projects, constituency allowance, and all that. Yes. Because they come up with the template, just like every other organization comes up with a template of what they are expected to do with the money in the next running year. Yes. So now National Assembly to come up with their own budget for constituency projects and all that, So that is the area maybe President Olusegun Obasanjo is trying to talk about, but he didn't really dissect this point for people to understand. And that was why it generated some conflict.
It's misconstrued as him claiming that they determine their salaries.
It is not the National Assembly that determines their own salary, but they determined their constituency allowance and all that. But still, there are some organizations that ratified it. I think there is a mechanism that check that, and that is why before budgets goes directly to them. Yes. But right now they have changed that policy, that there are certain commissions like Basin, like Osun, Ogun, Basin, and all that. So there are certain commissions now that the money goes. No, the money now goes to the only thing is that you can bring contractors. So the National Assembly members, before now, they used to give them the money, and some of them will use the money to throw parties and divert the money to their own personal projects and their own personal business.
So what's the place of checks and balances in all of this? What organizations are saddled with the responsibility of checkmating and ensuring that even after these monies are disbursed, that they are used
I don't think there is any.
That they are used for the proper projects that they have been allocated for, and not for parties as you are.
If you're following what I'm trying to explain, that before now, there have been a serious mess and issue around this money that is allocated to this National Assembly member for constituency project. There have been serious issue before now, and that was why most recently, that has been changed. The money do not go to the senators. The money do not go to the members of House of Representatives. Now, before now, the money goes to them directly. But right now, there has been a twist and a change to that. So the money goes to certain commissions. Yes. You understand, that oversees, that executes those projects. The only thing the National Assembly member does or can do now is to see that this is my priority project. This is what I want. They bring a contractor, they liaise with this commission that this is what I want to do. This is the priority project to the people in my constituency, and they now fund it. It is not the National Assembly member that funds this project the way it used to be before, because of the abuse, because there are no proper check and balance. Nobody checks the National Assembly, because the National Assembly is meant to check the executives and the judiciary.
Now, as we look at both of the upper legislative chambers in their respective replies, one from Senator Adara Modu to the former President Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, another from the House of Representatives, has come at a crucial time when there's still some skepticism about the goodwill they showed in taking half salaries, which is yet to be implemented. They are replying that they remain patriotic and there is a perceived attempt to crucify the upper legislative chambers and put them in the back book of Nigerians. Do you agree?
That has always been the practice of politicians. Obasanjo is a politician and is not a saint either. And then, but one thing we'll appreciate is that even as an elder statesman, he still talks about the country and some of these things that he's doing. Which, you know, there is this saying that there is no smoke without fire. There is no smoke without fire. There may be some atom of some irregularities around this money allocation, and because they use the National Assembly power to influence certain decisions, it's possible that they may have influenced their salary, because they will threaten this organization that they may not get, or they won't get what they are supposed to get.
Do you think that this influence has somehow slowed down the proposed 50% salary cut as well?
No, it is not. It is the National Assembly that is willing. You understand?
So Nigerians are worried about what is delaying that decision to implement it.
It is not the National Assembly that will implement. It is the fiscal allocation.
Because you suppose that there are some influences that also affect the RFC.
It is not. No, this is just. It's if there is any delay, they can't be playing on the intelligence of the Nigerian people. They said, due to the biting economy, the current economic challenge in Nigeria, that they are volunteering, you understand, to cut their salary by 50%. Nobody asks them to do that. So I don't expect any game from the National Assembly. There are organizations, there are institutions that is saddled with the responsibility, like the Office of the Accountant General to the Federation and all these Ministry of Finance and all that. They are supposed to be the one that will implement. It is not the National Assembly who will implement. The National Assembly, unless they have not issued an official letter to the Accountant General of the Federation office. If that is the issue, then this politics is coming from the National Assembly. But if that letter has been written officially that they agreed to cut down their salary by that 50%, then there is nothing, you understand, that should be delaying that.
Well, whilst we look to quickly sweep through some of the prominent issues in the news, more reactions greet this. Clarification is issued by the official spokesperson of the 10th Senate, Senator Adara Modu, who hopefully, if he has time, would also be in our studios to further discuss this. Now, also greeting the front pages, and another pertinent issue of concern was the invasion of the Labour House in Abuja. Now, this morning, there are calls from the NLC demanding an apology from what Nigerians now perceive to have been an invasion by the police other than the DSS. Now, amidst these calls, they're also urging the federal government to intervene in some ways, from refraining to unduly influence people who have opposing ideologies to the government of the day. Make meaning of this.
You know, that is what it will appear it appears because over time we have had issues of DSS, going into some organization like offices of based on information anyways. But right now, because of the ongoing End Bad Governance protest, the Labour had threatened the last time that they are trying to sign certain things to join the protesters and all that, to join the protest, to seek for redress, of change of policies that is affecting the Nigerian people. So I think because of the position that the Labour is showing, the Office of the IG and the Inspector General of Police, they said that they got some information that there are certain things. So I don't know what transpired, why they did what they did, but I don't know. At this point, it's not time that we should be having this kind of fracas. I think we have gone past this stage. We used to have this kind of issue before now, that DSS, Nigerian police, we just bust, into some organizations and destabilize,
I mean,
take their systems, take their
when
computers,
it happened,
and some documents, some documents away. But we've outgrown that. For some years now, I've not seen such occurrences of such situation. But now that is reoccurring, maybe we need to see what we can do.
Well, when the attack on the NLC headquarters in Abuja here happened, the first security agency to publicly deny having anything to do with the attack was the DSS. And we all know the history of the DSS and NLC, the tussles that have been ongoing between them. There's this underlying rift that has always been there. So ordinarily, NLC should have, suspected the DSS of being the agency behind the attack. But also in today's publications, we saw that the NLC has rejected police explanation on the raid and are still asking the federal government or demanding for an apology from the federal government. If you take a close look at how the attack happened, a particular floor in the building was raided. Books were carted, and I believe they were not just books, but sensitive documents. Could this have been somewhat connected to maybe, just maybe, the tussle that's happened between the NLC and the FG that led to the new minimum wage? That is one. Secondly, could it also be connected to the hashtag End Bad Governance protest, which the NLC president has washed his hands off, and the entire NLC has not joined at all?
Yes, there was a meeting. There was an executive meeting of the NLC sometimes last week, and there was a communique that was drafted that they will likely join the End Bad Governance protesters to protest for some policies that is eating hard on the economy, especially to the downtrodden, that they want to join. So I want to believe that it has nothing to do with the minimum wage, because this minimum wage, most of the decisions were not even taken at the NLC office. They were a tripartite committee, and they have designated places, meeting points,
yes,
which is outside the NLC office. I've seen this happen in the Ministry of Labor, and I've seen it happen in the presidency and some designated environment in Abuja, but not at the NLC office. The most recent meetings that happened at the NLC headquarters was an executive meeting, called, I don't know why the NLC chairman is denying to that, but there was a meeting and a communique was drafted. I don't know. Me personally, I want to believe that what the police went to read has nothing to do with the communique. Maybe there are more informations. Maybe there are certain things they get the feeler, they get an information. Maybe with time, the Nigerian police will do well to explain to Nigeria their intention.
But isn't there a better way that the raid could have happened as opposed to them going
No,
there?
there is no better way.
In the wake of
there is no better way. There is no better way based on the information you get.
And vandalizing the labor house.
No, there is no better way.
What?
There is no better way. When you have allegation and you're suspecting that this thing can lead to maybe chaos in the society, this can lead to some issues. If they were genuine with their reason why they went there in the first place to raid, you can't completely, blame the Nigerian police. It might be for the safety of the general public. So we don't need to take a position right now until when, because I expect that there should be a committee. The president should intervene to see if the president do not have hand in this. If the presidency do not have hand in this, then there should be a committee, because the labor is not an organization that should be treated just like anyhow organization in this country.
Yes.
They are a respected body that contribute to the growth and development of the workforce and the development of this country.
Yes.
So I don't expect a rift between the Nigerian police and the labor at this material time, because this is a time that we need to join hands to see that we save this country from this hardship, this economic challenge that we are having.
Now, gentlemen, because of time and following a rejig in our lineup of our programming, we're constrained to just 10 more minutes on local issues. And in those 10 minutes, amidst the myriad newspapers we took, we look at just 2 more issues and then we wrap up. Pressing of which has been a focus on 9 billion naira expended on 88 Nigerian athletes following our last outing, which is considered the poorest by all margins at the Paris 2024 Olympics. Now, Labour Party's presidential candidate, Peter Obi, has been the loudest in what he says it's a failure of leadership. Many are saying, how comes the Nigerian athletes were not inspired, despite an additional 100 million as dished out by the House of Reps, to somewhat spur patriotism in our representation of Nigeria?
You see, let me tell you, this country, we are rather more reactionary than being proactive. I don't even expect the Labour Party presidential candidate, Peter Obi, to be speaking now. You see, we seem to understand that when you do not have a good foundation, you can't have a befitting building on it. There are so many woes that is going on in our NFF, and Peter Obi is not even saying anything. There are a lot of issues. You know, this country, Nigeria, a lot of wrong people given opportunity. See, there are great Nigerians that would have represented Nigeria at the Olympic and would have come back to this country with medals, gold medals and silver. But because of favoritism, nepotism, and politics that have eaten deep into the society, into our organization sense, that becloud our sense of judgment, giving opportunity to the wrong people and leaving the right people. Nigeria is a country of about 240 million people, and there are quality people, there are good people, there are people who are hungry. There are athletes in this country that are hungry, you understand, to represent this country, and they are very certain. And then apart from that, now it's just to look at sometimes how we implement certain things in this country. Yes. You get the money, and it's not properly expended in training these athletes. The monies are not properly used in providing all the necessary motivation to these athletes. If you go to our Olympics, if you go to our stadium, if you see where some of these guys are training, you pity for this country. You find out that most times they have to struggle for themselves. They use their personal money to train themselves and all that. A lot of corruption. So I expect that Peter Obi and other people who are now talking about, when you don't lay your bed where it's how you lay your bed that you lie on it. You don't expect them to do magic.
Well, I also, in as much as you have claimed that at a time like this, somebody like the Labour Party's presidential candidate, Peter Obi, is not supposed to be speaking. I would also, like to add that...
No, you didn't get it. I didn't say he shouldn't be speaking. I said he should not be speaking now. He should not always come out at the end of any woes. He should be proactive.
Proactive. He should have spoken.
He should not be speaking. He's too political. That's what I'm saying. He's too political. You don't criticize outcomes. You criticize the process. There are a lot of things that is going on right now in this country that he's not speaking wrongly. There are a lot of wrongdoings that is going on right now that is not speaking. He's waiting when there is a failure. He not take advantage for a political gain. By so doing, we will not get results.
Now we are not talking about Peter Obi. Would you attribute the rather disappointing outing of Nigerian athletes at the Paris Olympics? They crashed out of the Olympics without a single medal after billions of naira had been expended, to send them there. Would you attribute this to the athletes themselves, who I think they did fantastically well, or to the officials who were supposed to have
certain preparation?
Of course, that's what I told you earlier.
I had to borrow a bike.
I told you before that if you like, budget $10 trillion for these athletes. At the end of the day, this money are not properly used in the trainings of these athletes. It has always been the culture in this part, and nobody is saying anything, and that is why it's more annoying. In this part of the world, people are not punished for their wrongdoings until we begin to punish people for certain errors. When you are employed for a certain job and you're not doing it well and nobody is punishing you, you find out that you will be motivated to continue doing the wrongdoings. And that is what we see in almost every aspect of our society. Even it happens everywhere. Look at our NFF. Look at their two last outing. They failed. Even the coach, Finidi George was hosted out, and disgracefully out of that job. People don't get punished for their woes, and that is why you see that people find it very attractive to continue to do what they feel like they can do. Imagine millions has been allocated, billions have been spent, and yes, we are not getting proper result from the Olympic.
The only thing Nigerians have gotten so far is an apology by the Minister of Sports.
We are not asking. We are asking for probity. We are asking for accountability. There should be a committee that will be set up to investigate what went wrong. At what point did we get it wrong that our athletes will go to the Olympic and come back to this country without medal?
Now, lastly, as we look to draw this conversation to a close or into a slight rejig in our lineup, out of the pressing issues in the aviation sector, where 22 air operators have had to close shop in the last 24 years, there also calls for a new constitution following the 2014 Confab report, which has resurfaced. We just saw President Bola Ahmed Tinubu over the course of the weekend also established the Northwest Commission.
Yes.
Also to support development in the Northwest region. This is some of those conversations about how far the country needs rejigging and the political will to do so under this administration. Let's just get your thoughts in a minute or two as we wrap.
You know, Atiku Abubakar was very popular in 2019 with this restructuring concept, and that was why it gained some level of popularity then, because Nigeria is ripe for restructuring, and APC did promise restructuring even as at the time President Muhammadu Buhari was to recontest. They set up a committee then that El-Rufai, the former governor of Kaduna State, headed, that went from state to state and take concerns of the Nigerian people. And in that report, it was clear and it was loud that the Nigerian people want restructuring. And that is one of the things that is affecting us. Like the Nigerian, the state police was one of the issues that was talked about. This autonomy, local government autonomy was another issue that was raised, and decentralization of power, you know, from the country. And I think one way or the other, the countries, there have been some adjustments because the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been doing a lot in terms of looking at that report, and in one way or the other, he has started implementing this restructuring. But what the people wanted is this centralization of resource control, you understand, and the president is here to do anything about that, and that is the major issue, you understand. That is the major issue, and that is what we are expecting that the president should also look towards.
Well, we must thank you very much, Honorable Desmond, for finding the time to come on the program and share your thoughts on some of these national issues.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.